Now, for today, we will be discussing some important topics here in our subject, Java Programming. So, just to review, yung Module 1 natin kung natatandaan ninyo, and I am actually guessing some of you might be having some problems or difficulties installing Java or installing what we call NetBeans IDE. Or some of you might be having some problems na wala kayong laptops or wala kayong computers to do those projects. Actually, meron tayong Android app na pwede nyong gamitin in order for you to code your Java problems. Meron yan. Pakita ko lang sa inyo dito sa Play Store para at least makita nyo. Ayan, AIDE. Ayan. The name of the Android app na pwede nyong gamitin to create some codes or to do some codes using your mobile phone is what we call AIDE. Aside from Java, you can also create C++ and C# or any other programming languages na available dyan sa app na yan. So, kung wala kayong laptop, as of the moment, you can still do your modules using this one. Now, baka may marinig ako ulit na, sir, wala po kasi talaga akong phone or nakikihiram ako ng phone. I do understand that, okay? Pero, may I suggest po, if kaya nyo humiram at least once a week to answer the following modules, mas maganda. Once again, yung mga naka-mobile phone po, ito ang gagamitin natin. Now, your Java or your NetBeans in your computers, yan, dapat ganyan yan, and it looks something like this. So, I suggest, if you have your NetBeans with you, open that. Ganyan ang itsura ng NetBeans natin. So, yan yung pinakagagamitin ninyo. Actually, okay lang kung Eclipse. Wala namang din problema yon kung mas sanay kayo sa Eclipse. Pero for the meantime, pwede nyo gamitin ito. Now, the reason why we are using IDE is actually for functionalities. Pwede nyo gamitin si NetBeans kasi nga in terms of functionalities, masyado siyang, mas maraming pwede nyo gamitin, especially for user inputs. You can actually use JOption pane, which we will be discussing in the next week, sa NetBeans. Pero sa mga other IDEs, like yung sa online natin, hindi siya kaya. Pero okay lang naman. And for today, ito muna gamitin natin. Itong online Java compiler natin. Please turn on your Java compilers na gagamitin natin, which is this one. Ayan. Yung tutorialspoint.com/compilejava_online. Gamitin ko muna yan for today kasi para mas maintindihan ng iba. So, if your laptop cannot handle NetBeans IDE, you can actually use Google and go to this website to create or to do your codes. Alright. Before we proceed with our lesson here in Computer Programming 11a Operators, let us go ahead and discuss first and review ourselves on how to create your first Java program. This is very important po to know, and bago kasi kayo makapag-proceed sa Module 2 and Module 3, you should have a strong knowledge na kung paano gumana ang output natin or ang program natin. Okay? So, once again, if you will be creating your first Java program, as I have mentioned from the first class natin na in-upload ko sa YouTube, and nasa module 2 rin kung paano gumawa ng first program, according there, your class name, this one, okay, should be the same with, of course, the file name na gagawin nyo. Yung file name na yun, that is what we call yung .java na tinatawag natin. So, halimbawa, ang file name na nilagay ko, say for example, dito sa may activity natin, say for example, ito, name the class as, say for example, Arithmetic Operators.java. Yan. When I say program title Arithmetic Operators.java, automatic, the class name should always be the same with the file name itself. So meaning, okay, ganito rin dapat ang itsura niyan. Someone asked, sir, ang gagamitin ba natin na class is debug_3, last name, first name? Actually, it can be both. I'm just simply trying and testing everyone kung ano or kung paano nyo maiintindihan or kung naintindihan nyo na yung paggamit natin ng class name. Okay? So, if the file name or your .java is Arithmetic Operators, automatic yan. Ang class name natin, okay, ang class name natin, it's the same. Ganyan. Or yung arithmetic operators din na tinatawag natin. Okay? Now, I hope you understood that. Punta tayo dito ngayon. Now, in order for us to know or to create our first program, which I have mentioned in the module, kung paano lang mag-print. Kasi majority of programming languages out there simply teaches you how to print out text or string literals. Now, I also discussed there the different parts of what we called the main method. Kasi pag sinabi nating main method, ito yung dito nakalagay lahat ng codes natin in which particularly will work. So, ibig sabihin, every time na naglalagay ka ng code inside this main method na tinatawag natin, that is the time nagagana na or you will be executing everything inside the main method. Remember this, kapag sa Java kasi lahat ng nilagay nyo sa main method, yun lang yung execute nyo as of the moment without any application of object-oriented programming. Lahat yan. Dito tayo. Now, I also mentioned there kung ano ibig sabihin ng mga public static void main string args na yan. Pero I know some of you hindi pa masyadong na-gets kasi nga wala pa tayo doon. Pero basically, this is actually an OOP concept which will be discussed further. Hopefully, maabot natin sa itong finals. Pero I think CP11b na talaga siya. Now, you also have to make sure that your codes, and meron tayong tinatawag dito na blocks. Pag sinabi nating blocks, this is actually inside what we call the open and close curly braces. Blocks, ano yung tawag niyan. Okay? It's very important na if you started an open curly braces, you should also end that. You have to make sure na laging ganyan. Kagaya nito. Inside the public static void main string method, itong blocks na yan, dito nyo ngayon ilalagay yung code natin in order for us to print. Okay? In order for us to print particular messages. Say, for example, I will print hello world. Yan. Ganyan siya. Now, I also mentioned in the video in the module 2 in which pag sinabi nating print line, meaning every time you will execute the code, magpapakita lang dyan yung word na print mo together with the next line. When we say next line, meaning next line, literally. Pero pag wala to, ibig sabihin, okay, ibig sabihin yan, yung next na word na ipiprint mo, katabi lang nito. Ganyan siya, di ba? So, hello world, yung, pag may next line yan, or yung ln, nandito na yung next word na ipiprint mo, or next string literal na ipiprint mo. Pero kapag print lang yan, yan, dito na yan next. So, in order for us to understand kung paano yan, kasi for example, ito, I am Ian. Now, once we execute that, and let's see what will happen. Yan. Diba? Pag sinabi kasi nating print line, again, I printed out hello world here, followed by a next line. Kasi nga print line yan, I am Ian, followed by another next line. Now, if I will remove the next line here and just simply change that into print, let's see the difference. Yan. Diba? Magkadugtong lang siya. Hello world. Imbes na mag-next line tong I am Ian, dumugtong lang siya dito. Correct? So, that is what we called the print line method. So, I hope na nabasa nyo naman yan siguro sa module natin. Yan. We also have what we call the character symbols. Tinatawag natin. Now, character symbols can actually be used as a shortcut. Say, for example, gusto mong maglagay ng next line without putting the code system.out.println. Okay? You can actually do that by using \n na tinatawag natin. Going back, we have the character literals na tinatawag natin, yung /n, in which pag ginamit mo yung /n dito, it indicates that you are adding a next line portion sa may string mo na gusto mong i-print. So, if you will execute that, you should already know that the word hell will be in a single line followed by the next O world. And meron pa ako may mga diniscuss pa ako doon na /t, yung mga ganyan. So, gagamitin natin kasi lahat yun. Also, make sure every time you are creating your statement, ito, one line of your Java code is what we call statements. Okay. Make sure you will end the statements in Java by what we call semicolon. Remember that. That's very important. If you would like to become a Java programmer in the future, this is very basic, and you should always remember this one. Dapat i-end yun lagi siya sa semicolon. Okay? Now, in Module 2, I was able to discuss there yung tinatawag naman natin na data types. Basically, those are just simply the data types na gagamitin natin while coding some particular parts in Java. Say, for example, ito. So, we have byte, short, int, long. Sa ngayon kasi hindi pa natin masyadong magagamit to. Okay? Pero just for you guys to understand there, these are types or data types tinatawag natin in order where to store those values and data na meron tayo. Halimbawa, itong integers na to, this is the most common data type na ginagamit natin in Java. Kasi nga, karamihan sa numbers between, okay, saan siya nag-start? Between negative 2 raised to 31 up to 2 raised to 31, yun yung values niya. Comparing dito sa long, which is, negative 2 raised to 63. Saka natin gagamitin to. Itong mga ganito. Kaya nga meron tayong activity dito sa module 2 in which meron akong website na binigay where you will identify the following data types na ginamit doon sa trivia na mention dun sa data type. Okay, we have those primitive data types. Kapag ka double naman, it's more of like a floating point, decimal. Kapag float, ganun din, decimal, pero with lesser values comparing to double. Itawag natin. Pag boolean naman, true or false lang yan. Pag character naman, just simply character pero enclosed in a single quotation. Enclosed in a single quotation. Actually, sobrang basic lang talaga ng tong Java data types. Sobrang lang yan. Kasi hindi pa talaga totally siya na natin magagamit comparing dito sa next parts natin ng discussion, which is the operators in Java natin. So, I hope you guys are actually doing your best to answer the following questions na nandoon sa modules natin. Kasi para nakikita ko ng maayos or, natatrack ko ng maayos pa rin kung sino yung mga nakakagawa sa hindi. Pero, please, try your best. Kasi tutulungan ko naman kayo. Pag nagtanong kayo ng maayos sa akin, tutulungan ko kayo. Okay? So, let me discuss here Module 3. Module 3 na tayo. Okay. Now, let's talk about operators in Java. Parang math to eh. Sa totoo lang, kung nabasa nyo na to, it looks like a mathematics. Some of you might be wondering paano yung gagawin doon sa may activity, sa may pinakalas. Let me explain what to do sa part na yun. Pero before that, let's discuss the different operators in Java programming. So we have arithmetic operators. Basic math. Alam naman na natin to. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and modulo. Okay. Pag sinabi kasi nating modulo, this is the remainder of a division. Say for example, pag sinabi kong 2, modulo 2. Halimbawa, isulat ko siya dito na eto. What is the answer when we say 2 modulo 2? According dito, modulo is the remainder of a particular division. Now, when we say modulo, tingnan natin ang sagot dito sa 2 modulo 2. The answer is 0. Bakit? Kasi when we say modulo, when we divide 2, okay, to 2, anong sagot niyan? 1, di ba? Pero, wala siyang remainder. If you were able to analyze that. 2 modulo 2 is equal to 0 because when we divide 2 to 2, the result is 1 with no remainders. Okay, let's give another example here. 5 modulo 3. Anong sagot dyan? 5 modulo 3 is equivalent to 2. Bakit yan naging 2? Kasi 5 divided by 3 is 1. Huwag niyong isama yung 1 point something. Okay? 5 modulo 3 or 5 divided by 3 is 1. Ilan ang remainder? 2. Yung 2 ngayon, Yun yung tinatawag natin na modulo. Lakihan natin ng konti. Yung ito. 40 modulo 8. Ayan. Ilan kaya ang lalabas sa 40 modulo 8? Again, 40 divided by 8. Tapos, ilan yung remainder niya? I hope you are getting the point here. Okay, tingnan natin kung 4 nga ba. So, 40 divided by 8 or 40 modulo 8 is, what's the answer? It's 0. Wala, bakit kaya naging 0, hindi 4? Okay, ganito yan. Diba, 40 divided by 8 is equivalent to 5. Tama? 40 divided by 8 is equivalent to 5. Meron pa ba siyang remainder? Wala. Ganun yun. Kapag nag-divide ka kasi, tatanda, parang wag mong isipin yung decimal na 1 point something, 2.5. Wag. Focus more on the whole number. Focus more on the whole number. So, iba. Lakihan pa natin to. Sabihin natin 55 modulo 3. Ayan. Tingnan natin kung ilan ang lalabas dyan. And let's have a wild guess. What will be the result of 55 modulo 3? Actually, there is no shame in using calculators in Java. Especially kapag mga ganito kasi, except dun sa my next parts natin. Okay, 55 modulo 3. Let's try to analyze what is the remainder or the modulo of 55 modulo 3. First of all, nakikita nyo yung calculator naman dyan. 55 divided by 3. Let's try to ignore the 0.333 na nakikita nyo dito. Now, ang sagot dyan, 55 divided by 3 is 18. Tama? So now, let's try to check kung ilan ang remainder. Ilan ang tira. Paano natin gagawin yon? Yung 18 ngayon, multiply mo ngayon sa 3. Minus 55. So the answer is 55 modulo 3 is equivalent to 1. Now let's try to execute that. Kung tama ba tayo? 1. Ayan o. Yung sagot. Iba ulit example natin para mas maintindihan. 97 modulo 6. Ayan. Ulitin natin ha. Ito 97 modulo 6. 97 divided by 6 muna. Let's ignore these decimal places. Okay? Let's ignore that. And let's get 16. Okay? So, ang 16 dito, yung 16 ngayon, i-multiply mo dito ngayon sa 6. 16 times 6. 96 minus 97. So, the answer for 97 modulo 6 is equivalent to 1. And simple lang ang concept ng modulo. Now, another example for the last time. Paano ngayon kung yung sa may leftmost ng equation natin is smaller comparing to the right side portion of the equation? So, for example, ito. 4 modulo 56. Ang gagawin nyo ba dyan is ganito. If 4 divided by 56 nyo ba muna? Kasi titignan nyo maigi, wala tayong may ignore. Ignore natin yan. Ang whole number is 0. No. Hindi ganun ang process kapag maliit yung sa my left comparing sa my right. Okay, ang sagot dito is automatic 4. Why? In Java, automatic na ang kukunin mo kasi this cannot be divided. Let's think like a grade 1 student where 1 divided by 2 is not possible as of the moment. 1 divided by 2 in a mind of a grade 1 student, we will answer that as cannot be. Diba? Instead of us answering that 0.5. In Java, ganun din. 1 divided by 2, okay? as of now, yes, it's really 0.5. Pero if we are using modulo automatic, that cannot be possible. That's why the answer for 1 modulo 2 is 1. Now, ang technique lagi dito, kung nakakita kayo nito, ang kukunin nyo lang yung left side, that is the modulo. That's it. Whatever the number is. See, for example, we have here ganyan, modulo by ganyan. The answer will always be the left part. Okay? The answer will always be the left part. That's the concept of what we call modulo in Java. So you can see here, the plus, minus, multiplication, and the division can be used for operands. For data types, integer, float, and double. So, saka natin anuhin yan. Focus tayo dito ngayon sa associativity and precedence rule in Java. Ito na-discuss na sa inyo to nung elementary and high school eh. Maybe you are familiar with the concept MDAS. Diba? Where MDAS is multiplication, division, okay, addition, and subtraction. Now, in Java, that's what we call precedence and associativity rule. Tinatawag natin. Kaya nga tinawag na precedence kasi we will be following a step-by-step solution in order for us to get the answer. Yan. Ibig sabihin niya, whatever happens, ang mauuna lagi dito is multiplication. Now, let's try to analyze this example here. Okay, analyze natin yung example natin dyan. Bago nyo muna tignan tong part na to, wag muna kayong tumingin dito. Dito muna tayo. Now, the equation here, say for example, we will be declaring x as, we call that, integer values. Let's try to check kung tama yung sagot natin. Yung sagot dito. Okay? Now, if we will be converting this into Java code, ganito yan. So, I will declare an x value which is an integer. Okay? So, I will assign a value muna na ganyan. Or, I should say, pwede ko na siyang gamitin na 3 plus 6 multiplied by 2 minus 5 plus 10 divided by 2 multiplied by 8 divided by 2 minus 3. Tapos, we will simply print that in Java by typing the x value is yan. Tapos yan. Ibig sabihin yan, so you can see here, this is a string literal, correct? So, the x value is, meron kang space dyan, tapos in-enclose mo na siya inside the string value plus automatic the value of the x na nandito. Ganyan siya pag Java. Now, let's try to analyze individual or line per line itong part na to. Okay? Now, according to the associativity rule, ang mauuna lagi is multiplication. Okay? Multiplication. So, from left to right, lagi nyo titignan tong equation na to from left to right. Now, let's try to analyze. Dito sa line na to, ang naunang i-execute ay underline there the 6 multiplied by 2. Correct? Kasi nga, according to the precedence rule, mauna lagi si multiplication from left to right. So, ang una ko kasing nakita dito is itong 6 times 2. So, yan yung execute ko ngayon. Dito tayo. So, 6 times 2 is equivalent to 12. So, ayan na siya. So, 3 plus 12, which is the result of this one, kinapi ko lang to lahat, minus 5 plus 10 divided by 2 times 8 divided by 2 minus 3. That's it. Okay. Next. Kung ina-analyze nyo maigi yan, tingin tayo dito ng, according to the precedence rule, multiplication, division, modulo. Yan. 3 plus 12 minus 5 plus 10 divided by 2 times 8. Now, maybe you are wondering, sir, bakit nyo inuna si 10 divided by 2 kaysa kay 2 times 8? Bakit nga ba? Kasi in Java, okay, remember this. In Java, again, let's talk about associativity rule. Kahit na nauna dito si division, okay, hindi nyo po, or kahit na nauna dito si division, tama, yan pa rin ang i-execute nyo. Kasi, Associativity Rule states that ang mauuna lagi is from left to right. Ito, medyo nakakalito to, I know, but you need to have some concentration to fully understand this one. Again, ito, inuna nating i-execute tong 6 times 2 kasi nga, operator-wise, yan ang nauna. Ditong part, we executed 10 divided by 2 because we used the associativity rule from left to right. Nauna kasing nagpakita si 10 divided by 2 kaysa kay 2 times 8. Okay? So, 3 plus 12 minus 5 plus 10 divided by 2, ito is 5. Tapos, itong 10 divided by 2 na to, wala na. Naging 5 na siya. Tapos, kinapi-paste ko na itong part na to. Next line. 3 plus 12 minus 5 plus 5 times 8 divided by 2 minus 3. Anong next na operator ang in-execute natin? Kung titignan natin kasi dito sa part na to, wala namang multiplication and division. Nagpakita si multiplication dito. Diba? 5 times 8. Sir, bakit hindi nyo in-execute si 8 divided by 2? Bakit si 5 times 8? Kanina naman si division ang in-execute nyo. Ano ba talagang uunahin? Yan yung mga tanong natin, di ba? Ang uunahin nyo dito, again, kung ano yung nagpakitang operator based sa associativity rule from left to right. So, regardless kung ang nauna dito is division or multiplication, for as long as kung sino ang naunang nagpakita, yun ang i-execute mo. Okay, so, dito, in this case, ang naunang nagpakita si 5 times 8, hindi si 8 divided by 2. Ito yung una natin execute si 5 times 8. As simple as that. So, 5 times 8 is 40. Next, 3 plus 12 minus 5 plus 40, which is the result of 5 times 8, divided by 2, minus 3. Obvious naman kung ano execute natin. Ito. Diba? So, 40 divided by 2 is 20. Ayan na. So, we were done getting rid of of multiplication and division. Ito na tayo. Sir, ano ang mauuna kong execute? Addition ba or subtraction? And the operator rule, precedence rule, ito, addition. Diba? So, kung napansin nyo dito, 3 plus 12 minus 5 plus 20 minus 3, hindi natin pwedeng i-execute ito agad. Hindi natin pwedeng i-execute ito agad. Again, from left to right tayo. So, ito muna ang nakita nyo. 3 plus 12. 3 plus 12 is 15 minus 5 plus 20 minus 3. So, kung napansin nyo, isa-isa ha, per line ko siya nilalagay. Kasi I want you guys to fully understand kung paano nag-work ang precedence and associativity rule sa Java natin. Okay? So, kung napansin nyo yan, ganun din. 15 minus 5 is 10 hanggang sa makuha natin yung value na 27. Okay? That is actually an example without using any particular what do you call this that? Grouping symbols na tinatawag natin. Yung parenthesis, curly braces, and brackets. Now, let's try to check the code here na ginawa natin kanina. Tignan nyo. Diba? Same equation. X is equal to this particular value or equation here. Tapos, we printed out the value of X. Ano lumabas? 27. That's how Java programming works. Okay. Let's try to have some little activity lang, and let's try to check kung ano nga ba ang mauuna sa equation na to. Yung pinaka-famous equation na nakikita ko lagi sa Facebook na hindi ko maintindihan kung bakit marami pa rin hindi nakakakuha. Kahit mapa-Java man yan o hindi. Okay, let's try to check and see what will be the result of this one if we try to compute that. Ito, sabi nila, nakikita ko to eh. Ano to? Okay. Now, as you can see, if after executing this one, 1 ang lumabas. Now, let's try to analyze. Bakit nga ba 1 ang lumabas? Okay. Gawa tayo ng comment. Alam naman siguro natin ang paggawa ng comment, double slash. Diba? Sa Java. Okay. Now, using this equation here, alam natin ang una nating execute is this one. Tama? So, equals, mag-comment tayo dito. Equals, ang una nating in-execute, ito, 2 times 2. So, 4 plus 2 divided by 2 minus 2 times 2. Ganyan siya. Next, i-execute ba natin agad itong 4 plus 2? No. Hindi muna. But instead, we will be executing 2 divided by 2 first according to the Associativity Rule. Diba? So, 4 plus 1 minus 2 times 2. Next line. Ano ang execute natin dyan? 4 plus 1 na ba? Hindi pa. Kasi we still have times for the multiplication. Hindi nyo pwedeng sabihin negative 2 ha? Hindi. Hindi pwede. Kung may negative na akong ilalagay, nakaganyan na yan. Nakaganyan na yan. Pagka may negative. Or, nakaganyan na yan. Pag may negative akong ilalagay. Okay? So again, on this part of the code natin, ang i-execute pala natin is 2 times 2. Diba? So 4 plus 1 minus 4. What's the next part of the code? Ano execute natin? 1 minus 4 na ba? Or 4 plus 1? Left to right. Tandaan natin yan. We will be executing 5 or 4 plus 1 is equal to 5 minus 4, which is automatic. The value of x is equivalent to 1. Diba? As you can see, the concept is simple. For as long as you know how to follow the associativity and the precedence rule of operators, matik yan. Makukuha nyo na agad yan. That's how Java compilers are thinking when presented with a specific Java operator problems, kagaya niyan. Okay? So, let's proceed. Ito, medyo challenge ng konti. Challenge to in such a way na I used what we called grouping symbols. Parentheses, mga ganyan, brackets, curly braces. Now, as you can see from this equation here, okay, yung equation na yan, medyo, alam ko, nakakalito na yan pag tinitignan natin ng matagalan. Yan, ganyan na kasi siya pag sa Java. Diba? Now, in Java, automatic, it will still follow the precedence rule of multiplication, addition, and modulo. However, mas mataas pa rin si grouping symbols natin. So, ibig sabihin yan, ang i-execute natin na mauuna lagi, regardless kung addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division ka, ang una nating execute lagi is kung ano yung nasa loob ng grouping symbol. That's always how Java programming works. Okay? Kung ano yung pinaka nasa loob or inner grouping symbol natin, yun yung i-execute. So, for example, ito. We have this equation. Now, if we will try to analyze this part here, itong malaking part na to, actually, ito pa yan eh. Yan. Ganyan siya. Analyze first kung nasaan dyan yung inner natin na equation. The innermost is this one. 10 divided by 2. That's why that is actually the one we executed first. So, 10 divided by 2 is equivalent to 5. Alam ko, medyo nakakalito na yan. Kasi talagang kailangan yung after yung execute to, kailangan yung tanggalin din yung dalawang parenthesis natin. Next, ayan, di ba? 10 divided by 2 is 5. Yan yung sagot na yan. So, kung napansin nyo, we remove this parenthesis here and here. Tapos naging, ito na lang siya, yung 5 plus 5 na yan. So, next, tingnan nyo ha. Take a look at this one. Inside this parenthesis equation or the equation inside this grouping symbol here, meron kang nakita multiplication. Sir, yan ba agad ang i-execute ko? The answer is no. Kasi nga, since nasa loob kayo ng parenthesis, ang lagi nyo munang i-execute na una is what is inside or the innermost grouping symbol, which is 5 plus 5. Kahit anong equation pa yan or kahit anong operator pa yan, laging ganyan ang sagot. Or laging ganyan ang unang execute. So 5 plus 5 is 10 multiplied by 8 and so on. Dito na tayo. Now, as you can see, pinapabayaan ko muna itong 3 plus 6. Hindi muna. Bakit natin pinapabayaan yan? Actually, pwede nyo siyang pabayaan or pwede nyo na siyang isolve. Pwede nyo nang gawing 9 yan. Automatic. Pero in my case kasi, let's try to follow the grouping symbols first. So, as you can see here, we were left with 2 minus 10 times 8 na equation inside a single, okay, inside a single parenthesis na lang. So, wala ka ng inner parenthesis. You only have single parenthesis. Papasok ko ngayon sa precedence rule natin. According to the precedence rule, ang mauuna, multiplication. So, 2 minus 8 times 2 minus 10 times 8. Ang una natin in-execute, ito. Up to the point na, yan na yan. Ang naiwan, 2 minus 80. So, it became negative 78 divided by 2 minus 3. Now, as you can see here, this is the time na in-execute ko na si 3 plus 6 nung okay na to. Pero, in your case, pwede nyo nang i-execute si 3 plus 6 umpisa pa lang. Bakit? Kasi nga, si 3 plus 6, wala naman siyang kasama. Wala siyang inner and outer parenthesis or grouping symbols. It's simply 3 plus 6. So, at the start of the equation, pwedeng dalawang underline ang ilagay nyo. Pwedeng ganyan na ang ilagay nyo agad at the start of the equation. Kung hindi kayo masyadong nalilito. Pero kung gusto nyo medyo talagang detailed kayo, yun yung gawin nyo. Isang underline lang per equation. Now, pasok tayo dito sa, nasaan na ba tayo? Ito. We executed this 3 plus 6. So, dito na tayo. 9 times negative 78 divided by 2 minus 3. Yan o. Ang in-execute natin, 9 times negative 78. So, we have negative 72 divided by 2 minus 3. And so on. Actually, sa calculators, medyo iba ang lalabas eh. Hindi ko lang alam kung bakit. Pero, ang pagkakaalam ko, I'm only following the Java precedence rule natin. Okay? Yung Java precedence rule. Now, let's proceed with your activity here sa may part na to, sa may module natin, performance task 1. As you can see here, kaya talagang nag-discuss tayo ngayon kasi I want you guys to fully understand this instruction. Evaluate the following expressions and show the step-by-step solution from the space provided below. Okay. I am suggesting that you guys, since hindi ko naman kayo nakikita, eto. Number 1, yes, pwede nyo siyang i-copy-paste or pwede nyo siyang i-encode sa Java na kagaya niyan para makita nyo agad kung ano yung sagot. Yes, I'm allowing you to do that just for checking purposes and for evaluation. Okay lang. But, you have to make sure that your equation, step by step, line per line, will be placed here. Okay. So, kung i-analyze natin ito maigi, ano ang unang i-execute natin? Ang una natin i-execute is 3 times 4. Diba? Hanggang pababa na yan. So, I should be able to see something like pag ganyan na yan eh. Pag ganyan na siya. Kung pansin nyo rin, modulo. So, my question here, 7 modulo 10 nga ba ang ma-execute dyan? Or yung result nitong 1 times 7 modulo 10? Or the other way around? We will actually see. Makikita natin yan sa sagot nyo dito later on. Next, ito, medyo challenging din. Itong part na to kasi puro siya modulo. May multiplication din. Diba? Try to analyze that first. Okay, so wait lang ha. Check nyo muna siya maigi. Now, as you can see here, 2 multiplied by 2 times 2 divided by 2 Modulo 2, modulo 2, modulo 1, modulo 2, times 2, and so on. Diba? Medyo nakakalito. Pero, ano issue lang siya isa-isa? Precedence, Associativity Rule. Unahin nyo to, since magkasunod naman yan dito. So, 4 times 2, yun yung execute nyo na next. And so on. Dito lang kayo mag-iiba sa part na to. Next, another challenging equation. Okay, maybe you are asking, sir, bakit wala pong bakit wala po dito? Kung napansin nyo dito sa may part na to, yung 2, tapos parenthesis agad. Diba? Wala siyang equation, wala siyang operator. In mathematics, if wala kang operator pero followed by a parenthesis, the operator will always be multiplication. Diba? So, automatic yan. Ito ang medyo challenge, pero kagaya nga ng sinabi ko kanina, unahin nyo lagi si innermost. Unahin nyo muna si innermost. Now, if you have noticed na may syntax error, okay, kailan nagkakaroon ng syntax error? Number 1, kapag yung number ng open parenthesis is not equal to the number of closing parenthesis, that will be syntax error. Meaning, it's unsolvable in Java. Let's think like Java, okay? So, if you think na this is unsolvable kasi may kulang na parenthesis, go on. Pero, if you can somehow solve this one, sure, mas maganda. Pero tingnan natin maigi kung may mga kulang ba talagang parenthesis. So, magkasama yan. Eto, sino kasama nito? Dito. Dami, di ba? Asan yung, ito, mas lalo to, nakakaano. Ayan, dami. Pero, mukha lang complicated yan. Pero kung titignan nyo maigi, nasa isang grouping symbol lang pala sila. Di ba? Ito, medyo nakakalito din. Yan. So, only 5 items. So, I'm hoping na nagigets nyo yung idea ng activity na to, itong part ng performance task natin na to. Okay? So, let's proceed dito sa increment and decrement operators. Okay. Now, increment and decrement operators are simply operators in Java. Okay? Which is, it includes unary increment and unary decrement. Pag increment, ibig sabihin, plus plus. We are simply adding the word or the symbol plus plus. Pag sinabi kasi nating increment, plus plus, plus 1, automatic. Make sure to remember that. Kasi, halimbawa, ito, tignan natin itong code natin dito. I'll set the value of x as 0. Okay. Tapos dito sa may print line natin, I will say x plus plus. The value of x is x plus plus. Ano ibig sabihin yan? Ang sagot dyan is automatic 1 because we simply added 1 sa value, current value ni 0, which is 0. I mean, current value ni x, which is 0. Okay, so execute natin yan. Ang sagot dyan is x is 1. Kasi we started from 0. This is very useful pagdating sa looping natin sa finals. Okay, sabihin natin int x is equivalent to 5. What is the value of x in this statement? Since unary increment yan, 5 plus 1. As simple as that. Oh, bakit siya naging 5? Dapat hindi. Hindi, ganito lang yan. Or pwede nating sabihin dito. Tapos ganyan. Meanwhile, pag sinabi naman natin, eto, decrement minus 1. Okay? So, as you can see, the starting value of x is 5, then followed by an x plus plus, meaning we are adding plus 1 to the value of x. So, the new value of x here is 6. Simple as that. Okay? Pag decrement, minus 1 lang yan. So, pag sinabi nating minus minus dito, ibig sabihin yan, Yan, decrement value by 1. The answer is 4. Oh, wait lang, kape lang ako. Yan. Okay. Now, let's try to understand and analyze these following, or these expressions here. Okay. According here, meron kang nakikita dyan na k plus plus j plus I semicolon. Let's try to do that and let's try to convert that into Java expression. So, int I is equal to 10. And int j is equal to 3. Int k is equal to 0. Tapos k is equal to plus plus j plus I. Tapos let's try to see the value of k. And let's try to analyze bakit yung value ni k dito is now equivalent to 14. The value, the k value. Okay. Let's try to analyze and evaluate the lines of codes here. Okay. Now, we initialized the value of I into 10, j into 3, k into 0. Now, meron ka dito, ibig sabihin, yung k ngayon, nilalagyan mo ng value ni plus plus j. Okay, anong ibig sabihin ngayon ni plus plus j? Ibig sabihin yan, you are simply adding 1 before the value of j, which is 3. So, automatic, ito magiging 4 na yan. Plus the value of I, which is 10. As simple as that. Kaya nga siya naging 14. Diba? So, when the increment or decrement operator is placed after an operand, the old value will be used in the expression. So, itong plus plus na nakikita nyo dito, automatic plus 1 yan. So, meaning, the value of j here is 3, pero before that, we added 1 on it. So, it's 4. Ito naman, ang pinagkaiba, kung napansin nyo dito, let's try to see and analyze what happened. K is equivalent to j plus plus I. Now, baka nagtataka kayo, bakit ngay ganun? Ang sagot dito ngayon is 13, hindi 14. Okay, ito ang medyo weird part sa Java eh. Nag-increment tayo nung time na nilagay natin si plus plus before the value itself. Diba? Ito itong j plus plus, j is equivalent to 3. Plus plus here, hindi siya na-apply dito sa simple statement na to in Java. Okay? The answer for that one is actually itong j plus plus, mas madalas siyang gamitin inside loops. Pero pag mga simple equation na ganito, hindi. Mas gusto ni Java na ganito ang plus plus natin. Pagka yung ganyan, it will still be executed as 3 plus the value of I here, which is 10, which is 13. Ang weird. Maybe you're wondering, sir, try nga natin na ilagay siya dito. Itong j plus 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 I. Pero dito natin siya ilagay. Tingnan natin. Ano kaya mangyayari? 13 pa rin kaya ang sagot? The answer is ang weird. Bakit 410? Bakit kaya 410 ang lumabas dito? Okay. The answer is simple. On this part of the equation, itong j plus plus inside this statement was executed. Dun siya naglagay ng value. Tingnan mo ha. J is equal to 3 plus plus Kasi pag nasa loob ka ng pag nasa loob ka ng statement mismo. Kanina ito, nasa execution phase, initialization phase lang, kaya hindi siya na-execute totally. Unless pagka plus JJ, or plus J. Diba? So ito, yung J++ here is 3 plus the value of I, which is 10. Now, in Java, it will not work the same as the value of J++, which is 4, plus the value of I, which is 10. Hindi po mag-work yan into 14. No. It will work as 4 concatenated with 10. Bakit nga ganun? Concatenated. Ibig sabihin ng concatenated, you are combining two different values into one single value. Now, kung gusto mong itong dalawang to mag-execute ng maayos, add parenthesis. Automatic yan kasi. Si Java na to, i-interpret niya to as not an integer value. It will be interpreted as what we call a string literal. Hindi yan ma-execute yan, hindi yan ma-interpret na arithmetic operation. Not unless you add open and close parenthesis. Yun yung problema sa Java pero masasanay din tayo. Pagka ganyan, ang sagot na dyan is 4 plus the value of 10. Or value of I, which is 10. So, 14. Pero yung kanina, yung ganyan, kinombine niya lang. 4, tapos 10. So, 410. Yun yung medyo weird sa Java talaga. Okay? Let's proceed. Relational operators. Ito yung gagamitin natin sa mga conditional statements natin, in which I want you guys to understand this. Now, relational operators can only result into two values, true or false. Remember that. Okay? Now, ginagamit kasi ang relational operators sa part natin ng conditions. For example, ito. Let me copy paste this one. And let's try to analyze each equations. Okay. Oops. Now, as you can see, we have Boolean values. Alam naman natin si Java na ang Boolean is true or false lang. A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, X and Y. So, 8 and 13. Now, according to the relational operators here, we have the following. Equal to, not equal to, greater than, less than, and greater than equal. Ito yung tawag natin. Analyze natin to ha. X is X. Tatanungin nyo kasi yung sarili nyo dyan Is X equal to Y? Yes or no? Ang sagot dyan. If no, automatic. Ang sagot is false. Diba? Is X not equal to Y? Or is 8 not equal to 13? The answer is yes, definitely. Is 8 greater than 13 for value of C? No. False. Is X or is 8 less than 13? Yes, ang sagot dito. Kaya, true. Is 8 greater than or equal to 13? Yes. So, kung napansin nyo, madali lang namang intindihin ang relational operators. Kasi nga, napag-aralan nyo na ito ng elementary. Diba? Greater than, equal. Kumbaga, ang kaibahan lang nito, siguro yung iba sa inyo, hindi ganyan. Yung may ganyan, yung pag ganyan ng yung may ganyan, tapos may sa ilalim. Pero in Java kasi, hindi natin masulat yun. Kaya ganyan muna. Okay? So, that's relational operators. Now, let's try to proceed here with what we call logical operators. Ito na yung medyo nakakalito. Logical operators are used to test multiple conditions and are normally used in the conjunction with relational operators. Okay. We have the following here. Logical not, logical or, and logical and. those are logical operators. Anong ibig sabihin yan? Let me try to discuss logical operators. Hindi pa natin totally ito magigets kapag simple program lang, pero mas applicable to sa may ang tawag dito, sa may conditional, kapag may if else na tayo. Now, let me try to use or discuss AND operator. Yan. So, ang x, let's sabihin natin x is equal to 6 and y is equal to 9. Ay, hindi, wag. Parang ang pangit ng dating pala. 4 na lang. Ganyan. Okay. Now, according here to the table of logical AND, kasi you have your first expression, you have your second expression. Kumbaga, dalawang expression ang i-evaluate nyo. Kanina isa lang ang in-evaluate natin. This time, dalawang equation na. Now, let's try to see kung ano ang mangyayari dito. Say, for example, I will use this. AND pa lang tayo AND. I will place here. Okay. Pag sinabi kasi nating AND, ano yan ganyan ang ibig sabihin yan. Ampersand, dalawang ampersand. Oops, mali yung ano ko. Ito pala dapat. Okay. According here to the program, the answer of this equation is false. Bakit kaya? Okay, let's try to analyze this Now, take a look. The value of x is 4 and the value of y is 9. Using logical AND, meaning two expressions, you are checking two expressions. According here to the table, if the expression 1 is true and the expression 2 is true, automatic, the result is true. So it only indicates that logical AND should have both of the equation to be true. So ibig sabihin, yung 1 and 2 equation mo, dapat parehong yes ang sagot. Let's try to analyze bakit siya false. Is 4 equal to 9? Ang sagot dyan, automatic, false. Diba? And. Now, is x or is 4 greater than to 9? The answer is false. So, the answer is, according dito kasi, diba? False and false. False and false is equal to false. Sabi sa logical AND. Let's try to change the values into 5 and 5. Tapos ito gawin nating equal. I am guessing that the answer of this one will be somehow true. Now, let's try to analyze. Is 5 equal to the value of 5 of y from y? The answer is true. And is 5 greater than or equal to the value of y, which is 5, or true? The answer is true. Diba? Tingnan nyo. True and true is true. Ngayon, kung tinanggal ko tong greater than, yung equal, anong sagot naman dyan? Is 5 greater than 5? The answer is false. So, therefore, checking the table, true and false will automatically result into false. As simple as that. Pag AND, ganyan ang AND Again, remember that when we say AND logical operator, both of the expressions should be true. Meanwhile, logical OR, okay, it indicates that either one of the both equations are true, it will always result into true value. Kung napapansin nyo basta may isang expression na true, hindi lang siya dalawang false, lahat yan true. Okay, palitan natin to. Ang OR, ganyan operator. Okay. Let's try to analyze that into an OR statement. Is X equal to Y? The answer is true. Tapos OR, is X or 5 greater than 5? The answer is false. Pero since OR yan, ang sagot is matik yan. True. Ganyan ang ano natin pag AND and OR operator. Pag logical not, ibig sabihin, ganyan lang. Ibig sabihin, is X, sabi dito, is X equivalent to Y? The answer is true. Diba? However, meron kang nilagay dyan na logical not. Meaning, not true will now become false. Ganyan na mangyayari. Okay. Pahirapan natin ng konti. Let's try to analyze this equation here. X less than okay. Naku sir, paano pag tatlo? Pag ganyan na. Baga, tinan nyo ang sagot dito ha. True pala ang sagot. Pero paano nangyaring true ang sagot yan? Tingnan nyo maigi yung equation. Analyze them. Line per line. Again, the value of X is 5 and the value of Y is 7. Diba? Let's try to analyze that. It's really good if you know how to use comments. Okay? So, dapat marunong kayong gumamit ng comments. So, according here, again, it's like the operator, the arithmetic operators precedence in associativity rule. Kung ano yung nasa inner natin na parenthesis, that's it. Okay? So, according there, is X equivalent to Y? Is 5 equivalent to 7? The answer is false. Pero kung napansin nyo, meron siyang logical not. Ganyan muna siya. Let's leave it there. Next. Is X or 5 greater than 7? The answer is false. Pero may nakita ka ulit na ganyan. Diba? Tapos end. Is X or 5 less than Y? The answer is true. Pero may nakita ka ulit na ganyan. Analyze natin yan isa-isa ngayon. What is not false? Diyos ko, edi true. What is not false? True. Tapos end. What is not true? False. Diba parang patawa siya, pero that's how logical operators and arithmetic operators in Java is working. Let's try to analyze. Ito muna. Now, luckily in Java, wala kang susundan na kung ano yung mauuna. Kung like kanina, dapat multiplication, division muna. Dito, wala. Kung ano yung una magpakita, that's it. Now, in this case, this is OR. Tignan natin yung table ng OR. According here, if the expression 1 is true and the expression 2 is true, automatic, the result will be true. And end. Bakit siya naging false? Dapat false to Teka. Wala ba ako nilagay dito? Okay, gets. Okay. Sige, ulitin natin. Dito tayo. So, this is true, and false. So, in Java pala, unahin pa rin pala is si end. Okay. So, ganyan ang mangyayari. Is true and false. Uunahin pa rin pala si end. Okay. So, this is automatic false. So, therefore, the answer is true. In that case. Meron pa tayong may encounter na problem like this one. Pahirapan natin ng konti. Pero damihan natin. And y x tapos ganyan. Meron yung mga ganyan na cases natin kung napapansin nyo. Let's try to see kung ano ang lalabas dyan. Nag-error. Bakit nag-error? Kasi you are not allowed to place 2 exclamation points. Not unless ganito ang gawin nyo. Bakit ngayon? Ganyan pa rin. Dapat hindi na ito. Tanggalin na lang natin ito. Yan. So as you can see here, I placed there, okay, I placed there this one. May parenthesis muna, tapos ito. Possible yan. Okay? That can be possible in Java programming. Kung gusto nyo pa kasing maglagay ng isa pang not operator, igaganyan nyo na siya ulit. Lalagyan nyo lang siya ng open and close parenthesis like this one. So, hindi na ako naglagay ng activity regarding dito kasi yun yung mga next activities natin. Diba? So, let's try to analyze this one line per line or individually. So, by looking at this one, this equation here, you will always check kung nasaan si mismong inner natin. Okay? Ang inner natin is ito. So, is x, which is 10, greater than the value y is 10, is greater than the value of x, which is 4. This is automatically true. Diba? True yan. Pero, pinapansin ka, nakaganyan pa yan. Nakaganyan siya. So therefore, kung nakaganyan pa siya, this will now become false, okay? Pero meron ulit siyang paganyan, oh, 2 beses. So, kung isusulat natin ulit yan sa next line, this will now become false. Tapos may panibago kang ganyan. Okay? So therefore, the answer for this one is true. Parang nangaasar lang, no? Parang binabalik-balik lang tayo. Ganun lang siya. So, kung ina-analyze yung maigi tong equation na to, that is true. Now, you will now apply the concepts of this one. Yan. Yun yung concept ng logical operators natin. So, punta tayo dito sa activity. I hope na gets natin yung kahit paano. Okay. Ito. Performance task number 2, debugging exercise. And compile and execute the program. Revise the program in order for you to store the result of each arithmetic operation in individual variables to be used inside. Ano ibig sabihin ng variables? Variables are actually the container of your values. Tandaan nyo yan, ha? Variables are containers of your values. Ang gusto kong mangyari dito, kung ano yung result ni OP1 plus OP2, you will store that into a single variable which is different from this one. OP1 is an example of variable. OP2 is an example of another variable. Got it? So sabi dito, in order for you to store the result of each arithmetic operation in individual variables. Sabihin, you will now declare another variable to store the values of each operations here, line per line. So instead of you using this statement here, ang ipiprint nyo, ito na lang. Makikita ko talaga kung sino ang gumagawa dito. Okay? So ganun lang siya. Compile and execute the program. Okay? Madali lang yan. Ito. Given the following code segments, simulate the order of how the operation is performed based on the precedence of the operators. Ayan siya. Ay, oo nga. Baliktad ko to. Dapat ito ang mauna. Ganyan siya. Okay, nabaliktad ko. So the value of OP1, OP2, and to OP6 are the following. Yan. Okay, so parang ganun lang din yung parang kanina lang din. Okay, ito yung medyo challenge naman. Basing on the code fragment written above, what value would be stored in okay. Now, I want you guys to modify the program to make it display the area of a triangle. Ito, paano kaya to? I want you guys to understand na itong part lang na to is very easy for as long as you do not overthink. My tip here, do not overthink. The concept is simple. All you have to do is to we already know that in order for us to compute the area of a triangle is by simply multiplying the half of the base to the height. Tama? So, the question here, paano nyo ngayon gagawin and i-convert itong formula na to into a Java programming language? Yun yung question ko sa inyo. So, what are the variables you have to declare? What are the proper operation and the precedence of operators you have to do in order for this to solve? As simple as that. And the self-checks. By the way, ito yung self-checks, I'm just simply giving them as for you guys to answer based kung paano nyo siya maintindihan. Pero in reality, lahat ng self-checks po na nakikita ninyo will appear on your canvas as a summative quiz na minsanan. Okay? So, please be mindful of that thing. Minsanan po yan, kaya kailangan yung masagutan pa rin yan. I guess that's the end oh. Oo, wala na pala. Okay. May question pa ba tayo or clarification before we proceed?